Here's a dirty fighting technique that I think pretty much everyone watching this video has used. I know I've used it, and I've used it way too many times to count and way too many times to mention how many confessions it was brought up into. Actually, probably wasn't brought up in enough confessions, but it's called using relatives. Yeah, I can just stop right there, and I'm sure that you're already like, It's comments such as, do you want him to be like your brother? Or you are just like your mom or your dad. See, when we say things like that, we are not, and you know it, trying to compliment the other word. Those types of comments undermine someone's confidence, and they generate guilt and defensiveness, as many of these dirty fighting techniques do. Do you want your spouse to be on the defense, or do you really just want them to resolve the issue at hand? Now, let's go with this, because when we talk about using relatives, there is some focus on a trait that you have. My dad and I are so much alike. And when I was younger, we used to fight all the time. And the things that he and I were alike in weren't always pleasant. They weren't things I liked to admit. So when my husband would say, yeah, you're just like your dad, he'd say, nice, Ken. And I'd be like, screw you. Because I knew he wasn't trying to say, your dad is such a great guy, and I'm so glad I married a woman just like him. It was the opposite. Now, why is that a problem? Besides the obvious, which I've just stated. Because, first of all, it's lazy on your part. It's just like, I just want to attack you. Every time we use one of these dirty fighting techniques, we are really protecting ourselves. We're not doing anything for the other person. We're just throwing someone under the bus as if to say, I don't want to resolve this, that's what it is, and you can figure it out. But rather, there is a trait. When my husband says, you're just like your dad, what he's probably saying is something like, it's so hard to look at yourself, but you don't listen. You have a hard time listening, or you interrupt, or when we communicate, you do X, Y, and Z. When someone says, yeah, you want to be like your brother, and your brother's an alcoholic, that hurts. Especially if, okay, I have a cup of wine every night and you're going to throw that in my face. Now, another thing about this, though, is it hurts more when there is a shred of truth. But if I take this specifically to a marriage, and you specifically say you want a better marriage and you want your spouse to be better, let me ask you, all seriousness, are they going to be better when you attack them for their flaws? Or when you bring them up in a way that is very conducive to strengthening the other person? Let's face it, bringing up someone's flaws is not easy. You have to sit them down. You have to consider, how am I going to bring this up in a way that's not going to hurt them, but will get them to hear? And sometimes it's plain old just going to hurt. If I'm drinking a bit too much, like my brother, the alcoholic, pointing it out is just going to hurt. But do you say it with love? Or do you say it with an attacking spirit? Because Jesus would not say, you're just like your so-and-so. Or do you want the kids to grow up to be like your... Bam. You are not married to a perfect spouse. And all of you that contact me, I know he or she has jerk days. And the things you've told me are not good. But you're the one watching my video. You're the one I'm talking to. You're the one that I'm going to say, well, what are you going to do about it? Just because 90% of the fault is theirs doesn't mean you aren't supposed to work on your 10%. And you must. Because when you face God and you say, but he did 90% of the stuff, God's going to say, I'm not worried about him right now. So using relatives, if you're going to use your relatives, use it in a positive manner. Point out the good qualities in your mate, your child, your daughter, the person you're talking with. It's like, you're just like your mom. And that might be a compliment, especially if my husband said that to me, because he knows that my mom and I are just like this. And to say, you're just like your mom, would be such a great thing. How about turning it around? Do you really want to change your spouse and help them to lose that bad habit? Or do you just want to make your own flesh feel good and attack them? I don't have to answer that for you. But if you search yourself and realize, yeah, I'm saying it because I'm tired of fighting and I'm at my wit's end and I just wanted to shut it down or hurt them, then back it up. Reconsider how to say it. Apologize for that dirty fighting technique. And then progress on dealing with the issue at hand. You can do it. You can say, look, I know you have traits that are like your dad's, but you're a whole unique person, and I didn't mean to say that. Your dad's a good man, you're a good woman, or whatever. Okay? I hope you're learning from these dirty fighting techniques. Don't do these videos just for fun, although it is kind of fun. But I love passing off this kind of knowledge because I have failed in these areas. Every single one of these videos I've given you are areas that I failed in, and I was like, oh my gosh, how can I help other people to get better when I'm still struggling at these same things? Well, I've gotten a whole lot better, praise God. In 58 years, I don't think I use these dirty fighting techniques that much at all, and if I do, someone will call me out on them. All right, so it's your turn. Go out, do your homework, love one another. Love one another, and that means don't fight dirty. Fight the way Jesus would have you do it, with love. God bless.